chocolate chip, the chocolate covered Cheerios, right? And everybody loved the chocolate covered Cheerios because they're delicious and, well, not nutritious, but they're really, really good. Everybody eats them, and they're so popular and the richest of all the Cheerios. You're filming this.
Yep.
Anyway, right below those chocolate covered Cheerios are the honey nut Cheerios. Now, people like honey nut Cheerios, but they're not as top flight as the chocolate covered Cheerios. Below that, then, there are they're just the normal Cheerios. And these are your average Cheerios. And most of the Cheerios in the Cheerio world are in the normal Cheerio rank, please. Anyway, so they're really average. People eat them, but they're not all that great. Anyway, and below that, at the very bottom, treated like the slaves of the Cheerio world, are the whole grain Cheerios. Okay, nobody likes whole grain Cheerios because they taste disgusting. They're the most unpopular Cheerio out there. Anyway, our story is a story about one little whole grain Cheerio. Now, this whole grain Cheerio does not like his life as a whole grain Cheerio at all, because of all the reasons I told you earlier. They suck. Anyway, this whole grain Cheerio thought to himself, well, I don't want to be a whole grain Cheerio anymore. I want to go up. I want to be something myself. I want to be a normal Cheerio. And so, to become a normal Cheerio, to become any Cheerio higher than your own rank, you have to pass this massive, massive test. And it's a really difficult test. And most Cheerios do not pass it. If you don't pass it, then you die. But if you do pass it, then you can go up to the level above you. Anyway, so shouldn't have talked about Coca-Cola. So the Cheerio studies for the test for 5 years, right? He takes the test, and after a couple of weeks, he gets his results back, and he's passed. All right. So now he's really happy because now he's a normal Cheerio. And not very many Cheerios actually do this. Anyway, he was really happy with his life as a normal Cheerio. But after a couple months, he starts to get weary. I want to be more than this. I want to be greater than just your average Cheerio. I want to be honey nut Cheerio. So he studies the honey nut Cheerio test for 10 years, right? 10 years of studying, it pays off because when he gets his results back, he's passed again. So now he's at the next level of Cheerio, so he's up to honey nut Cheerio. And he's really happy. And another couple months go by, and he thinks to himself, now, it's great being a honey nut Cheerio, but I'm in this life for a reason, and I want to be the top of what I can be. And so he tries to become a chocolate covered Cheerio. And to become a chocolate covered Cheerio, the test is really, really hard. So he studies for 20 years, okay? 20 years of him studying and his Cheerio knowledge. And he takes the test, he gets his results back, and he's passed again. So now he's at the top of the Cheerio world. And he's really excited because nobody has ever done this before, going from being a whole grain Cheerio all the way to being a chocolate covered Cheerio. Anyway, so he throws a party, and all his friends and his family are there, and they're all supporting him in what he's gone through. And but halfway through the party, he discovers something horrendous. He hasn't got any milk left. Now, for a Cheerio to survive, obviously they must need milk, and so every 2 hours they must replenish their milk source. Now, this chocolate covered Cheerio has gone an hour and a half without any milk. So he rushes down to the store, right? And he's at the store, and he gets the milk department. And at this point, there's only about 5 minutes left until he dies, right? So he's really desperate, and he gets to the milk. The milk lineup is way, way too long, right? So he goes over, he tries something different. Now, there are different types of drinks that Cheerios can eat, but none of them are quite as good as milk. So he tries the water section, right? Now, water, not quite as good as milk, but it'll survive. He'll still go. So he gets to the milk queue. He looks at it, way too long again. So he moves on over to something else. He looks at the soda line. Now, soda is really, really bad for Cheerios, right? And Cheerios, it doesn't really always work for them. But he's desperate, and he thinks, if I have this soda, it'll give me enough time to stand in the milk lineup and get some milk. But again, the lineup for the soda, way too long. And so he moves over and he tries the last thing available. And it's a punch section. Now, punch Cheerios is awful. It is terrible for a Cheerio to have. Even to intake punch could kill a Cherrio, right? But he's desperate. And if he doesn't get this punch, then he will die. And so he goes over, he looks at the punch cube, and there is no punchline.